Okay, so before we get going, I would just like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and community. I'm calling from the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and I pay my respects to them and to their cultures and to elders both past and present. So this is the agenda today. This is what I'll be taking you through. So we'll start with some smarter searching and how our AI technology works on the platform to get you better opportunities when you're searching. I'll also take you through the StudyPerth hashtag and how you can find opportunities as an international student, connecting you to employers out in market that are using the hashtag. We'll then go through the SEEK profile and some top tips around how to stand out to employers, as well as the talent search tool that they're using on their side to find you and your profile. We'll also go through a couple of top tips on GradConnection, so internships and grad opportunities, and the reasons why you should be using a profile on that website as well. Applications and interviewing, so how to tailor your application to the job ad, and some tips around interviewing and making sure you're standing out when you're having those interviews. I'll then finish up with some tools and resources, everything in one place so that you've got that after the session today. And then if anyone's got any feedback at the end or any questions, we can save a bit of time for that before we leave today. Amazing. So I would just like to ask you this quick question. So use the chat box that you have to answer. Does anyone currently have a SEEK profile to search for roles? So you can put number 1, 2 or 3 in the chat box. Either you love it and you use it all the time. Number 2, you know some knowledge but you're unsure how to use it. Or 3, no previous usage at all. So just a few seconds. And we'll have a look at the chat box for all the answers. So 3, no previous usage at all. I'm seeing quite a lot of 3s and a lot of 2s. Natalia, 1, so you love it. That's really good. Good to know. Okay, so most are 2s and 3s. So hopefully today you'll get lots of practical tips on how to make your profile stand out and reasons why you should have a professional profile out in market so that you are being seen by the right employers. So that's really good to know to begin the session. Thank you. So I'm going to take you through smarter searching. So this is how SEEK's AI technology works and how it's making it more relevant to you. So smarter searching on SEEK is smart, hence the name. So it will be showing you relevant job ads to what you're searching. So it's very, very tailored to the keywords that you're typing in the keyword search field. And then it's linking all of those keywords that you're using to the keywords within an employer's job ad. So it's really important that you get specific with the types of keywords that you are using and make sure you've got a bit of a strategy in place. So what I mean by that is when you're searching, don't just look through lots and lots of ads and think, where do I go? Get overwhelmed and think, what one do I click on? Have a strategy in place. So think about doing one search for role titles, so roles that you might want to look into post-study. Secondly, you could start targeting organisations that you want to work for, or you've heard are really great for your career progression. You could start typing in those organisations and seeing what job ads come up and setting alerts so that you can keep in the know about future roles. And then as a third search, you could look for skill sets. So what skills do you have right now that could come up in a job ad and something that you might not have thought about before? So that way you're going to be coming across so many different opportunities tailored to you, and you're not going to miss out on opportunities because you're searching in the wrong way. So just definitely make sure you have a strategy in place before you start searching and applying to roles. Also, we'll get to the hashtag, but that's a fourth strategy, using the international student hashtag to actually connect with employers to make it more relevant to you. Another call out on this slide is the top search terms on Seek. So as you can see here, you've got 20 search terms and you can search by any industry. So I've popped the link on here. And what this does is it gives you the top 20 terms that candidates in the market within that industry are looking for. So what they're typing in the keyword search bar. So using these types of keywords are going to highlight a lot more opportunities for you in your job results. So it's really good to stay ahead of trends in terms of what candidates are using so that you can start piecing that into your strategy going forward. So really think main tip on this slide is have a strategy in place so that you're not just looking through random job ads and applying to anything. And that leads me on to the hashtag. So Seek and StudyPerth have recently entered into a partnership to deliver JobFinder WA, so a new program and campaign to link employers with international students during and after their studies. So it's really important if you're an international student, as a lot of you are on this call today, make sure that you're using this hashtag to get better, more relevant insights for you and more job ads that are tailored to what you're looking for. So all you need to do is put the hashtag StudyPerth into the keyword search field, as you can see here. You can search by classification, so you can start making it a lot more relevant to what you need. And you can also search with, within specific locations within WA as well. So depending on your search, you can do as many as you want, but always using that hashtag so that you're connecting with the employers also using that hashtag. I think I had a question there. Did somebody put their hand up? Or are we all good? No? Just make sure that you do go on mute for those that are on the call, and then we won't get any background noise. Thank you very much. So any employer that is actually part of the initiative will also be putting the hashtag within their job ad. So what it does is it uses our AI to actually select your keyword, so StudyPerth hashtag, and it will align it to those employers that are part of the initiative. So when you click Seek, you will see all of the job ads that are open to international students. So it's saving you a lot of time because it can be a really overwhelming experience when, you know, you've spent a lot of time applying to a role and then you find out it's not actually open to you as a student. So this is hoping to actually speed up that process, make it a lot easier and more efficient for you to find the right opportunities. So that's how the StudyPerth hashtag works. If you've got any questions, feel free to pop those in the chat and we can get round to those at the end today. In terms of international students, we have compiled a list of tips on securing a job and making sure you're doing it in the right way. So I'll take you through those now. So number one, researching your market. Now that's a really important one, really understanding the current market in Australia. And you've got so many different resources and tools on the Seek Career Advice website that can help you with what's happening out in the market in the real world of work. So I definitely recommend to pop onto the newsroom, which is located on the Seek website. And that way you'll be able to see all of the updates monthly of what's happening in the job market. And that's really going to help you understand candidate supply and demand and the amount of jobs that are actually being posted on the platform. Sorting out your visa. So expect to see the mention of right to work in Australian job ads. Employers will sponsor high level candidates if they can't get someone locally, but it is the exception, not the rule. So just remember that. Working holiday visas can also be a really great way to get a foot in the door, but the candidate may then be able to convince their employer to sponsor them. So that's sometimes a really lucky thing that you can get your employer to actually sponsor you, but it might not always happen. So just bear in mind different options, have a plan B in place and make sure that you are prepared with the visa and what that's going to look like ongoing. 3, speaking the lingo and learning about the culture. So this is one that I had to do coming from the UK. There were lots of differences in terms of the Australian culture to the English culture. So it was about kind of talking to different people, networking, making sure I was building my network up, asking about different industries and different roles, and learning and being passionate about the culture within Australia. So that's a really important one as well. Tailoring your resume and your cover letter. So connecting your experience to the benefits the company can value. Don't assume that local employers have heard of overseas employers. So make sure that you are making sure that you are putting a summary of where you might have worked previously or where you might have studied before you come to Australia. Really make sure that you are being upfront with the employers so they've got all of that information to make the right decision. You could include a paragraph in your resume explaining the business and its functions and whereabouts that was, so that you are being upfront with those details. Knowing your technology. So it's becoming more and more common for interviews to be carried out on the phone, Zoom or digital platforms. But don't expect employers and recruiters to use the technology that necessarily suits you. There's going to be so many different types and not everyone uses the same. So really make sure that you are up to date with all of the different communication platforms and how you actually go about navigating them. And that's going to really help your interviews and making sure you're prepared in advance. Be prepared to take a step back. So another thing I had to do when I came to Australia, all of my network was over in the UK, and you might find yourself thinking the same. A lot of your network is over where you're from, and in Australia, you've got to start from scratch. So think about taking people for coffees, learn about what industry they're in, what role they have, what the challenges in that role. Really make sure that you're networking and you're open to opportunities out in market. Look at different networking events, go to them, talk to people, really put yourself out there so that you are building that network within Australia. Understanding how to apply. So get your head around applying for jobs on Seek. It's really going to help you, and it's going to take out all of that hard work for you. It's easy to navigate and very self-explanatory when you get going. So definitely go on there, create a profile and start searching for roles, and take those tips from the last slide on strategies. Make sure you have that strategy in place so that you are opening yourself up to all of the opportunities available.
A strategy.
Thank you. And Seek profile. So we'll get into top tips on Seek profile. In terms of being seen, it's really, really important to follow some of these tips. So there's many different ways that you can be seen by employers and make sure that you're standing out from the crowd. It all works off of Talent Search for the employers. So what Talent Search is a tool that recruiters use, hiring managers use on a daily basis to actually find candidates like yourselves. So they've got a series of different filters that they can drill down into to find the relevant candidates for their roles. So they will be looking for skill sets, they will be looking for transferable skills that you probably already have, really kind of looking at all of those details to match your profile with their requirements. So I would make sure that you are signed into your profile when you are applying to roles, because that is going to present you with a lot of relevant opportunities to you, because it will be scanning through all of your skills, all of the information within your resume to provide you with the best job ads for you as an individual, all of your preferences. You can then quick apply on the job ad, and that's going to save you so much time having to go through a long-winded application process for every role that you want to apply to. So quick apply will send your application in a few minutes, and you'll have that ready to go. You can set your profile visibility to standard, and that allows hirers to find you in the talent search tool. So having standard on means that you will show up in their platform. If you keep it to hidden or limited, you're not going to be seen, unfortunately. So if you're looking for a role, make sure that you do set your profile to the right visibility. You can also now share a live link to your Seek profile, which means you can pop that into your resume, and it saves the employer a lot of time searching through different platforms to find your information. They've got everything in one place, and they can click on the resume link that goes straight to your Seek profile. So that's a really good one, because employers do not like spending a lot of time reading through and trying to find information. They want things to be quick and easy because they've got lots and lots of applications to look through. So really make sure you're doing all of the work for them up front and using things like the live link for the Seek profile. You can create a resume from your Seek profile to share as part of your application. Another great tip that's going to save you time. Instead of uploading a resume and doing all of that behind the scenes, you can create a really good Seek profile and then automatically translate all of that information into a resume format. And that way it will attach with your Seek profile and be consistent across both. Always making sure that you are updating your profile as well, so that you are coming up to hirers as updated with your details. Amazing. So I'm going to take you through a little bit more about the profile visibility and how that actually works. So your profile visibility setting helps you to manage what employers are able to see about your Seek, able to see about you in the Seek's profile database, and how they can actually contact you for an opportunity. So when you log into your Seek profile, you will see your profile visibility settings at the top of your page next to your name. So you want to be putting that to standard so that you are coming up for the employer. And also there is an approachability status feature on your Seek profile. So that lets employers know that you may be approachable to discuss a new opportunity with them. On the employer's side, they will have a list of different features, and one of them will be approachability. And a lot of hirers will be selecting that to actually look at the candidates more likely to be open to their opportunity. So if you want to be seen and you want to stand out from the crowd, really make sure that you are being seen as approachable within your profile. It will be shown as green to the employer. So you'll come up like this. Just popped a little screenshot at the top for you, and it will have the line here, this candidate may be approachable. So that's a really good way of being seen from employers and standing out. So this is an example of what the employer will see on their side. So this is talent search here, and this is how you will be seen if you're approachable. Your profile will turn green and you will have that maybe approachable sign. You will also need to fill out some basic criteria within your Seek profile to not only be seen within the database, but also to make sure that you're getting relevant opportunities to you. The more information that you're including within your profile and the more quality information it is, the more job ads that will be tailored to you and saving you time sifting through lots of job ads that are irrelevant to what you want. So make sure you've got your first name, your last name, your email address and your mobile number so you can be contacted by an employer. Your home location, nationality is really good as well. Total years of experience is great to have. At least one entry in your career section. So if you haven't had a previous role or opportunity, think about part-time jobs you might have had at university or any tangible experience that you could actually apply to the role that you're going for, and you can include that within the careers section. Education institution and your field of study, and also a really great feature is Certsy. So you can actually verify all of your credentials to make sure the employer knows that you're definitely certified in that area. So whether it's a work right to work in Australia, so your visa requirements, you can verify that information, whether it's a driver's license or whether it is an RSA certification for hospitality, for example. So all of those things can be verified, and it will give the employer a bit of peace of mind that you have all of that, and you will be standing out from the crowd even more doing that. Amazing. So I will move on to internships and graduate opportunities now. And this comes under GradConnection. So for some of you might not have heard of GradConnection before, and some of you might have used it previously, but being seen with a GradConnection profile is going to open you up to a lot more opportunities as well. So it's going to help you get ahead within your career journey. So if you're still studying and you're going through that journey, make sure that you are thinking about internships, graduate opportunities, and making sure you have a specific resume and cover letter for those opportunities. So you can easily search with the filters available to you, just like on the Seek site, to find different opportunities out in market. You can view your saved jobs to keep everything in one place, and you can keep track of your applied jobs. So you can remember, if somebody gets back to you, you can remember what ones they were. You can also follow employers and be notified when they post new jobs on the platform. So this is a really great one, because if they haven't got anything right now, but you know that you really want to target that employer and would love to work for them, whether it's an internship or an entry-level role, then you can follow that employer and you can see all of those opportunities that come up. And those will come to you as daily or weekly alerts, depending on the alert that you set. You can also put your discipline into GradConnection as well as your graduation date, and you can actually tailor all of the opportunities to that date. So make it really specific for you. So just a few tips on the GradConnection profile. If internships and grad programs are your front of mind right now, I would 100% recommend creating a GradConnection profile alongside your Seek profile. It really does make a difference having two, because then you're casting a wider net out in market and you're never going to miss an opportunity. Amazing. So internships and graduate jobs. So these can help give you insight into your ideal job. It can either make you go off in a different direction and think, okay, I don't actually want that job because of some things that you experienced in that work experience placement or that graduate opportunity. So it's a really good experience, a really good learning curve to understand whether it's right for you. Contacts and networks. So it can expand your reach out in the Australian market. You're going to meet so many different people within that internship or that grad program, and people hire people. So remember that if they've met you and you've shown them all of the amazing skills that you have, they're probably not going to want to let you go. So they'll either create an opportunity if they can, or they will remember you for future opportunities that come up. So it really does make a difference to have a work experience or an internship placement whilst you're studying, because then you've actually got practical experience that you can take forward to your future career. So really remembering those tips in terms of GradConnection. This is how it looks on the platform. You will see all of the opportunities coming up for you based on what you search for, and it will tell you when it's closing. It will tell you if it's hybrid, remote, or on-site, and it will also tell you if it accepts international students. So definitely have a look at those features within the job ads that are selected for you. So it just comes up there on that job ad. 72% of Australian candidates got a paid job offer after doing an internship, either at the same company or at a different one. Now that is a really big percentage, 72%. So it just shows you that doing an internship or having a grad program or work experience whilst you're studying is a really great way of getting your foot in the door. It's going to give you so much experience, you're going to meet so many people, and an opportunity is likely to come out of it. So I would definitely recommend doing that. And a few things to remember when you are in that internship so that you are standing out and making a really great impression to that employer. Be enthusiastic about the opportunity, go above and beyond and show that you're a quality candidate that they don't want to let go. Listening skills are so important. You'll learn a lot, take all the information in. Be really curious as well. Ask questions, find out about different roles within the company. Ask your manager at the time what they do, what they love about the role, what they love about the company. It shows passion and it shows enthusiasm. And also be really appreciative. So after that interview or after the internship, really show your thanks for the skills and the experience that you learned. It goes a long way. Amazing. So we'll move on to tailoring your application. So when you're on Seek and you've been job hunting for a while, it does kind of start to feel a bit overwhelming. You've got so many jobs coming up for you and you end up just applying to any, and you've got so many jobs that you've even forgot that you've applied to. And you end up being not as engaged as you once were. So start bringing your attention to the details on the job ad so that you can start increasing the chances of finding a job that really fits your needs. And also it could be a role that's really really something that you're interested in, that you're passionate in, and is a lot more tailored to what you're looking for rather than a random role that you've just applied for. So a few things to think about. Ask yourself, what is the role? So what is the role title? What are the requirements there? What do I need? Have I got any kind of tangible experience that I could talk about? Are there any transferable skills within my study that I can actually talk to the employer about? Does this feed my soul? Do I really want to do this? Is this good for my career journey? Where is the role? So where is the location? Can you get there every day? Is it on site Monday to Friday? Is that going to work for you? Is it a part-time opportunity? Is it a full-time opportunity? Is it near to home? Or is it remote? Can you just do everything from home? So those are the details that you need to really make sure that you're aware of, because in reality, it might not work for you. What will I do? So go to the requirements section, have a little read through what is expected within the role and see if anything aligns to your passions and your skill set. And then also, what's in it for me? So it's really important to think about the benefits of the role. So all of the good bits, all of the culture aspects, what the team's going to be like that you're working with, what's your manager going to be like? Are you going to be happy within that role? Salary as well, not all job ads include the salary. Sometimes there's a range, but you can also use the Seek Career Advice website to understand different jobs out in market and what the ranges are for those roles. So then you are prepared to understand within that interview, what is the approximate range for that particular role, and then you can stay ahead when they bring up salary. So a few things to think about there. And in terms of actually tailoring your application, resumes tend to describe responsibilities rather than achievements. Many people find it really tricky to describe their achievements. It can be really hard when you're actually trying to get it down on paper. Listing your previous responsibilities in your resume might sound straightforward, but when it actually comes to it, you might stumble and feel a bit stuck. So this is a really great framework for you to start understanding what an employer is looking for and how you can start framing your answers in terms of the achievements you've had and your cover letter telling a bit of a story of who you are. So employers are really looking for tangible experience and someone that's actually going to stand out from all of the cover letters and all the resumes that they're reading. So STAR is a really great framework. It starts with situation. So explain the situation that you were in. What did that look like? Set the scene for that employer. Task. So challenges you had to overcome. So what were those specific challenges? And just explain in a few words what they were. Action. So the actions that you took to overcome it. What was your strategy? How did you plan out to actually action and make sure that there's success at the end. And then lastly, result. So concrete and measurable results of these actions. So proving that it made a difference, and why did it make a difference, and how did it help? So really making sure that you are looking through the job ad requirements for that specific role, and then using this framework to write a response to that specific job ad. So that can be within your resume or a few lines within your cover letter to actually make sure that you're aligning to that specific opportunity. You can also use Seek's company reviews, a really great resource that you have on Seek. You can go to that and you can type in any organization that you might have gained an interview from, or you want to apply to, and you can understand real reviews of people working right now in that company, what they find challenging, what they really love about the role, and make an unbiased opinion on whether you want to go for it. It will also help you with those interviews to do a bit of research ahead of time, so you're showing that enthusiasm and that passion for the company. So this is what the Seek company reviews looks like. So for example here, Optus gives you a bit about the company, the life and the culture, the jobs that are currently on the platform right now. So you can actually set alerts so that you can see those jobs coming up in your emails, or you can go straight to the live jobs using that link, and then also reviews. So you've got free text space to actually search for any company that you would like to understand a bit more about. Amazing. So that brings me on to a few interviewing tips. So the things that recruiters and employers are going to be looking for out in market. Skills have taken on a really new focus in the world that we're in now. From COVID, it had an enormous impact on the way that we all work, where we work, and the skills that we all value. So no matter what discipline you're studying, or what career path you're working towards, it's really important to know exactly what skills employers are looking for and how you can start demonstrating these skills in an application or an interview. So have a read through the skills today that recruiters, employers are looking for, and those that are trending. Don't be overwhelmed by all of the data here. Your resume, your cover letter, your interview doesn't need to cover every single one. So don't kind of memorize all of these straight away, but have a little think about where you're really strong, so where you've got those skills, and where you might need to upskill a little bit, maybe over your study or within your career planning. That will really help you to understand where you might need to improve. I have also highlighted a few that are really important that we know employers really, really value. So technology use, monitoring and control, really making sure that you are keeping up with technology, keeping up with how interviews are actually happening right now over different platforms. So that feeds back into staying up to date and being prepared for different interviews on different platforms. So being a bit tech savvy, really, really important. And due to the pandemic, the work from home has been bigger than ever. So really thinking about flexibility and resilience and stress tolerance. Are you adaptable to changes? And in terms of an interview, if you were presented with a question asking about stress and resilience and flexibility, you could even talk about how you overcome certain challenges throughout the pandemic. What was it like for you? Really pull in your tangible experiences, and that's really going to stand you out from just generic responses that everyone will be talking about. So think about storytelling and telling something very individual to you. And then lastly here, emotional intelligence is a really big one. Having the ability to understand, manage, and express your emotions is another key skill that employers will be looking for. It's really crucial that companies have employees that can respond appropriately to the emotions of others. You're not always going to meet people that you really get on with or have the same interests or values as you. So you really need to understand how to work with those individuals so that you're keeping the team, you're keeping it peaceful, you're keeping it progress happening and you're doing well for that team. As well as really thinking about your own experience at work, you really want to make sure that you have that career development, you're liked by the company, so that you are being thought of for career development going forward. And also talking about your skills. Now, this can be really, really hard because sometimes it can come across and you feel as if you're bragging. You're not alone. Less than 20% of people feel confident about talking about their skills. It's very rare that people walk in a room and just want to talk about themselves and all of their skills. 37% put this lack of confidence down to feeling like they were showing off. 71% of employers say they're looking for job seekers to talk about their skills in their resume, and 66% want job seekers to talk about their skills in the interview. So remember that it's a big percentage of employers really looking for you to talk about all of your transferable skills, all of your examples from your study, and feeding that into the questions that they're asking. So a few top tips to help you with this. Reflect. So reflect on times that you've been really pleased or proud of yourself within a situation, or you've had an impact on a process or a project at university, for example. Really think about that and use those to show real life examples when you are having those interviews. Ask. So ask your peers at university, ask your mentors, ask your family members, your friends, when do they see you shining? When do they see you at your best? And that way you can see a different perspective on what you're really good at and what skills you might not have realized you have. Think. So think about all of the skills that you used when you were able to turn a problem into a solution. Employers often like to know how you're going to cope with challenges and how you're overcoming those challenges, because that's going to be really important for your future role. So really think about those tangible examples that you can pull up and get them ready for an interview. And then lastly, identify. So identify and get them written down, any transferable skills that you have now. A lot of employers are just looking for human transferable skills for you to talk them up within an interview. So that could be time management, or if you had to lead a project at university, or if there was a multi-stage project you had to deliver to schedule, so how you worked to quick deadlines, or how you had to actually break down a day or a week to ensure that you were prioritizing correctly. So really thinking about what you've had to do at university and feeding that through. And a tool that can really help you on Seek is the in-demand and transferable skills tool. This is really great because you can tailor it to the role that you might want. So you have a drop-down menu and you can select any role. I've selected business analyst here, just as an example, but it will show you the list of skills that employers are looking for within your resume, then your cover letter, your Seek profile, and what they'll be searching for within talent search. So they've got a free text space and they'll be typing in business analyst or user stories, process mapping, and all of the candidates that have those things within their profile will come up for them at the top of their search. So this will give you that inside scoop into those skills that you might need to upskill in a little bit, start thinking about, or you might have those already and you can just easily drop them into your Seek profile or your resume. So there is a quick link here where you can just add those skills into your Seek profile. So you can just click the plus button and those instantly go onto your skills within that profile. And as I said before, you can select any role. So just remember that going forward. And just to give you a few interview questions that you might be asked going forward. So there's always behavioural questions. So these questions ask candidates to reach back into their history to relay a time where they behaved in a certain way. So that's going to give the employer a bit of understanding of how you might act in the future within the role. Situational questions. So these questions are similar to behavioural questions. However, they compel the candidate to speak about how they might deal with a particular issue in the future. So that's where you can get all of your tangible examples out and really tailor those answers. Competency, ability questions. So this is where you need to start showcasing your skills, provide some really compelling points on how you've succeeded in the past, focusing on answers that would also be beneficial to that specific company. And also questions you shouldn't be asked. They should never be asking you about ethnicity, age, gender, sexuality, any of that personal information. So just remember that when you go to an interview, you shouldn't be asked any of those questions. These are a few questions, a few examples here of what you will be asked. So I will send this through to you so you've got those examples and you can start tailoring some responses so that you're ready. And you can use the STAR framework for the interview. So always remember situation, task, action, and result. And that way you're covering all bases when you're having your interview. And you're also interviewing the employer. So don't forget that. You need to have a few questions at the end of that interview to not only show that you're passionate and curious about the opportunity, but also to find out some information about whether it is the right opportunity for you going forward. So have around 5 questions rehearsed before the interview. Make sure they cover a few of these aspects. So the role and expectations. So what is a day in the life of that role? Could you take me through your expectations over the next 6 months, for example? Leadership style. So what's that management style like? You could ask that employer, what is your leadership style? How do you like to work? How can you best work with them? The team. So understand whether it's a large team, is it a small team? Is the team scattered across all different states in Australia? Are they international? Are they going to be in the office in the location that you're in? And that's going to kind of give you a bit of an insight into how you can best work with them. Company culture. So is it a family-led business or is it a really big organization? That's really going to change the culture of that organization. So really make sure it is right for you and find out a bit of information about the culture there and those benefits that they have. Training and development. So you can ask about development opportunities. That really shows eagerness to learn and improve your skill set. Does that organisation offer any development for your career? Is it a good direction for you? Do you want to work your way up the ladder? If so, really make sure that you are asking those questions in advance. Next steps. This is a really good one because then you're aware of what's to come in the interview process. You can stay prepared. And also you get a bit of understanding as to how long the interview process is going to take. So always ask, what are the next steps in the process? And the 3 C's. So just remembering competence, compatibility, and chemistry. So the 3 C's, have that in your mind when you're going into that interview. Competence, so can you actually do the role, showcasing your skills? Compatibility, do you get a good vibe from the interviewer? Are they going to be your manager? Do you get that vibe? Is it a good relationship within the interview? Chemistry, so do you feel like you can work within that team? Do you feel like you could work with that manager? Is the culture what you want? So really making sure that you are actually interviewing that employer as well. And they will also be thinking about this on their side. So do you have the skills? Do I get a good vibe from this candidate? And will they work well in my team and part of our culture at this company? Okay. Interviewing at home. So as I said, there's going to be lots of different platforms that you might have to do an interview on. And a lot of the time, it will start with an online interview. So be accessible, really make sure that you've got everything you need in your remote location. Technology and environment, once your interview time is set, do a couple of rehearsals so that you're on time, you're punctual for that interview. Appearance and mindset. Make sure you come with a really good, energetic, showcasing your personality within that interview and showing that enthusiasm. Really, really important to go in with that positive mindset. Appearance as well, really important. Make sure there's nothing distracting behind you, and make eye contact with that employer. That's going to really help you to build up a relationship and keep that vibe, that positive vibe within the interview. And just a quick video to show you of what you don't want to happen and what will happen if you don't stay prepared when you are actually preparing for those interviews.
Democracies respond to those scandals.
And what will it mean for the wider region? I think one of your children has just walked in. I mean, shifting sands in the region. Do you think relations with the North may change?
I would be
so you really don't want these distractions when you're doing a very important interview, that you want to make a good impression. So just remember that and save that embarrassment. Okay, so lastly here, I just want to take you through a bit of a guide to effective networking. So networking is an invaluable tool when you're in the market for a new job. So particularly for graduates who may not have those professional contacts, or for those of you that have no one here that you have in your network, they're all back home, you really want to be making sure that you're reaching out to people and you're doing everything you can to gain the right opportunities. So prepare. Think about an elevator pitch. Who are you? What do you do? What are you interested in? And have that kind of rehearsed in your mind. Make sure it is conversational, but have some dot points that you can think about when you are in that conversation with that potential employer or that person that you're networking with. Research. So doing that research, looking on Seek, using the Seek career advice platform to really understand all of the opportunities out there and who you can start targeting out in market to find out more about those roles. TED Talks are really great as well to stay up to date, and there's so many different networking opportunities that you can get involved in. Getting out there. So you'll need somewhere to network. So some networking events are open to everyone, some only by invitation, and some will require you signing up to a networking group, maybe within your area. So really think about looking online, expand your reach, ask questions at university, really make sure that you are aware of all of those networking opportunities that are available to you and those industry events that are taking place. Conversation. So as I said, make sure it is a casual conversation. You don't want to be kind of scripted when you're talking to that person, but just definitely have a bit of an elevator pitch in your mind. Introduce yourself. It's always good to maybe start with a compliment because that's a bit of an icebreaker and it can kind of steer off into a different conversation. And ask some questions, find out and be curious. That's always a really good way of keeping the conversation flowing. And then lastly, follow up. So really making sure that you're showing that enthusiasm, taking those contact details when you've met somebody, following up with every contact that you've met and thanking them for their time. It really does go a long way, and that person is going to remember you. Amazing. So that leads me on to just a few tools and resources that I've put all into one slide for you so that you can easily access everything that we spoke about today after the session. So in terms of Seek Career Advice and GradConnection Career Advice, we do have two platforms. It really does help your career opportunities if you're creating a Seek profile and you're also creating a GradConnection profile. Seek for entry roles, graduate opportunities, and GradConnection for those internships, those placements, and really tailoring it to your discipline at university. With Seek Career Advice, you can use it at any stage within your career journey. So whilst you're studying, if you're at the beginning of your study, if you're at the end of your study, or if you've been out in jobs for quite a while, you can still use Seek Career Advice to gain really relatable advice on the market and what's happening in different industries. GradConnection career advice gives you early planning and upskilling resources. So you can download graduate templates in terms of a cover letter or a resume, and you can tailor that to a graduate program. There is also the top 100 competition. So you can enter that. There's lots of information on the GradConnection website, and that will allow you to connect with employers, the top 100 employers in Australia, and you'll be put forward for that competition. The winner does get to go to the event in Sydney. Really great event. I went there recently, and they do get a grad program offered to them by the employer for that industry. So it's definitely worth putting your name forward for that as well. And here is the slide with all of the different links that we spoke about today. If you're not really keen on reading lots of blogs and articles, you've also got videos that you can look into. So if you're much better just watching something, they're in video format as well. So you can click on the Seek videos, it will go to the candidate video library, and you'll have so many different relatable and practical advice videos on many different aspects of the working world that you can tap into. We also have a psychologist at Seek, Sabina Reid, who has so many career advice tips and also really helps with mental health and well-being as well. So I would definitely recommend to click on that link and have a little watch of some of her videos. I've put some of the templates that you can download, some of the graduate templates as well as the industry insights tool, where you can start scanning through all of the roles that relate to your industry and company reviews as well. Amazing. So that is the end of the session today. We've got a bit of time for questions now. So if anybody does want to ask a question, feel free to write in the chat box, or you can come off of mute. Any questions at all? And I do have a feedback form here, and I would really, really appreciate your feedback from today's session. If you do scan the QR code and fill that in, that would be really great. And we're always looking to improve our services and would love to hear what you loved about today as well.
Thank you, Hannah. That was great.
Thanks, Hayley. I'll stay on for a few minutes. If anyone does have any questions, then feel free to ask. And you will get the presentation sent to you as well after today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll just stay on mute for a bit and I'll just have a look at the
Thanks, Hannah.
Thanks, Hannah. That was terrific.
Thank you.
Getting some nice feedback there, Hannah.
Yeah, I've just had a look actually. Thank you for that. Very nice to hear.
It's a skill in itself. That's another session.
Yes. Okay, I don't think we've got any questions, but yeah, if anybody has any questions after the session, you can send them through and I can answer them as well. Okay, brilliant. I'll end the session there. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thanks so much, Anna. Bye.
Bye.